Before we start, do me a favor, comment below your favorite Viking game. If you know any Viking-based games, comment them below. I'm very intrigued to hear what you have to say. And I feel like it's going to be Tiny Epic Vikings. But if not, comment below. And even if so, comment below and tell me that I read your mind. How's it going, part people? Today I'm going to be talking about a game I've spoken on this channel for so long about. It is Reavers of Midgard, the card game. No, this is not Reavers of Midgard, the original game from Gray Fox Games that came out in like 2015. This is a card game, a new game developed by Aaron Holland. Let's go ahead and talk about it. If you don't know, before you buy videos, we'll be talking about the objective truths about the game, and then we'll be going to my subjective opinions about the game, and a little bit this, a little bit that, and overall we'll talk about whether or not you should buy this game. So starting off, we'll talk about the publisher. The publisher of this game is Gray Fox Games. They're known for Champions of Midgard, Reavers of Midgard, Clans of Midgard, and now Reavers of Midgard, the card game. The designer of this game is Aaron Holland, who actually owns a local Florida comic book shop chain called Coliseum Comics, and they've actually been a pretty good supporter of the board game design industry and the board game industry here in Central Florida. One of the few people. Fun fact, I'm not sure if you can tell from the video, because it's kind of dark while I'm recording it. His signature is actually on this box. He taught a lot of people how to sell the game, or to play the game, which sold a lot of good copies, and this is the deluxe version of this game, in case you're wondering. The player count for this game is 2 to 6 players, so no solo mode. The weight and complexity of this game is a 2 out of 5. Anytime I say 2 out of 5, it's because once you hit 2, it becomes like a real board game that you have to pay somewhat attention to enjoy and participate in. It's not a random game like Uno where you slap cards on the table, or Monopoly where you don't make any real decisions and the game just plays itself out. This is a game where you have to actually be involved with in order for the game to operate correctly, which is why it's a great introductory game that is low complexity, but it's a high skill to win. For the length of the game, I say with about 4 or 5 players, it takes on the average around 60 minutes. It could take longer depending on who's playing with you, but it's not a game where the more or less players really matters. It's always going to take about 60 minutes, maybe 90 if you guys are really distracted and people are taking way too long to negotiate. Because at the end of the day, this is a negotiation board game. The theme of this game, I like to say, it is Vikings plunder respectfully. And you'll see why in a second. The 3 primary mechanics of this game are negotiation, set collection, and simultaneous action. The unique hook for this game is that this is a pure negotiation game that's available to anyone. I know a lot of people say like, oh, I hate negotiation games. I'll never play a negotiation game. 0 out of 10 immediately if it's a negotiation game. I've gotten people who hate negotiation to love this game. I've never had a single individual play this game and not have a good time with it. Not everyone wants to replay the game, but everyone has had a good time at the end of the day, and that's really what matters in a board game. The price of this game, MSRP, is $45, but online you can get it for about $35. Sometimes you actually get it for $20 if you go on Noble Nights or something like that. The setup of this game is about 10 minutes, and the teach is another 15 minutes or so on average. And I'm assuming you're talking to people who don't know how to play board games. So really from nothing to fully understanding what you need to know to play the game, it goes to about, it takes about 15 minutes. The 2 comparisons I can make for this game are Zoo Vadis and Bonanza. If you don't know, Zoo Vadis is a board game that's strictly negotiation. Every action you take is a negotiation action, basically, where you'll do one thing, but it's all deep-rooted on how many deals you can make it and how many people can vote for you while you vote for yourself and all these other intricacies, but it's a completely political negotiation game. Bonanza, on the other hand, is also a majority negotiation game, because if you're not being part of the deals in Bonanza, there's almost no chance you'll have winning the game because you can only play cards on your turn, but if you know in board games, it's more often not your turn than it is. So if you negotiate on other players' turns, you'll be able to get some of their cards into your lot. But yeah, Zoo Vadis and Bonanza are both games that are similar to this, where they're pure negotiation games. And this one just does it a little bit differently, where it's friendlier for people who do not enjoy negotiation. The target audience for this game, I would say, are negotiation fans, simultaneous action fans, and people who already enjoy the Midgard series, which are the games I listed before, the Champions, Clans, Reavers of Midgard series. Now, how the game plays out. If you don't know, this game is very simple to play. What everyone will do is everyone has a ship, everyone has a set of cards. You have 1 card per location, and you have 1 location in the game for each player in the game. You have the port, and then 1 location for each player of the game. If you're playing 2 players, I believe there's an AI that is a 3rd player that acts in that manner. But I would say this game plays best anywhere above 2 players. I would say honestly, 4 to 6 players is the ideal player count for this game, because the more you have, it doesn't take away anything from the game. Yeah, so to play the game, you have the amount of cards that are locations on the table. Each location has a unique feature that changes how it works out. The port is always the same, because the port allows you to buy more items for set collection purposes, and Reavers cards, which are basically the individuals that will help you modify your Endgore scoring, and also give you a good boost depending on if you bought properly or not. So what happens on your turn is you will flip over one of the cards on the side. When you flip over the card on the side, it will tell you how to populate the location. Basically, if I flip over a card that says gold in cards, I will look at the bottom of each location that's currently in play, and I will place out the amount of coins it says to place out if it says coins. So this location says coins, so if a coin icon was there, I put 1 coin on here. This one has 2 coins, so I put 2 coins on there, and so forth. It's very simple, and then what everyone does on their turn is they will take a card from their hand, and then they'll play it on the table. So if I play a 1, everyone's going to simultaneously reveal at the same time what they placed and take their boat and go to that location. What you're doing is you're going to try to go to a location where almost no one else is going to. If you're the only one at the location, you gain everything there, no matter how much stuff is there, and it can be such a rewarding situation sometimes. If there are other players there, you have to add a curse icon, which is a purple skull in this bag. You add a curse icon there, and that curse icon is a negative point that accumulates in it accumulates in negativity based on how many you have. So one skull is -1, 2 is -3, and then -6, -10, and so forth. So you don't want to have a lot of skulls. But what you do if there's someone else there is you're going to try and negotiate what you want versus what the other player wants. So you do that for a little bit. Everyone does it at the exact same time. So it's a lot of talking, a lot of interaction with the players. When you're done, you just take what you have. So as long as all the locations that players went to are cleared, you can go to the next location, and then you keep your card on the table. Next turn, you play another card, so you can never stay in the same location ever. You just have to switch locations every single time. If you go to the port, everything happens simultaneously. Technically, it doesn't, but most people play it that way just because it's a lot easier, faster, and saves time. The only time it matters is buying the Reavers. The Reavers score a bit differently than everything else, because everything else is set collection, but the Reavers actually multiply against each other. There are red Reavers and yellow Reavers, so the red cards multiply against the yellow cards. So if you have yellow cards that add up to the value of 4, red cards that add up to the value of 5, multiply them together, and you'll get 20 points at the end of the game. This might sound like a lot, and all the cards here are just a lot of different ways of set collection, but overall it's very simple, very easy, very intuitive, and gold is how you win the game. So the more money you have at the end of the game, sorry, that's incorrect. So everything gives you points. You want to have a nice array of everything. Your Reavers will give you some benefits of going in one direction versus another. Your cards will give you some ability to get a huge amount of points if you just really bulk up on those set collection opportunities. There's a push your luck die. There's a die that you can roll if you get a certain type of card that'll either give you a skull or nothing or gold. It really just depends, but a lot of different ways to get points in this game. It's very simple. Then the game ends after I believe 10 rounds. The deck of cards exists, and once the cards are gone, then the game's over. And then you score your points. Whoever has the most amount of points wins. This board is exclusively for scoring. I feel like it's not needed, but it is what it is. This board is specifically for scoring, and it is pretty simple. And that's the entire game, genuinely, truly. Now that all the facts are out of the way, let's go ahead and go to the my opinion section of this video, where I talk about how I think about the game and what my opinions are. So first up, we're going with how it feels. The game feels pretty great, I'm not gonna lie. This game is very streamlined, very simple. The only thing, actually there's no hitches in the game whatsoever. Every time a curse gets added, it's like, oh no, and when multiple people go to one location, the negotiation with more than one player is fun, it's interesting, because it's like, oh, well, I don't want you to have all the coins, but you don't want coins, I don't want coins, so maybe I'll give you a card to get more coins, and it's an interesting way to do it. And really, the reason why I say this is a straight negotiation game for people who don't like negotiation, it's because you go to location, if someone else goes there, you just say what you want. Usually people go to locations for a specific reason. If I go to a location with a lot of cards, it's probably because I want the cards. If there's a lot of castles, I might want the castles and so forth. So if I go there and say, hey, I want this, you don't really have to negotiate too much. And I've seen people not negotiate and actually end up close to first place. I don't remember if someone else wins, but it's because I win this game almost every time I play. I love this game. I love negotiation. It reminds me of business, and that is where my strengths are. So overall, this is a game that's very simple. You go to a location, you say what you want, the other person gives it to you, or they say no, and then they give you something else. And that's the whole game. Very simple, very streamlined. It really does feel great. It doesn't feel like a Viking game necessarily. I feel like this would be a great business game, but it's an interesting theme that you wouldn't see elsewhere, to be fully honest. So I'm perfectly fine with the theme. It just doesn't really feel like I'm going around and like just going out and killing people like I thought it would in a game about Vikings. Now, how the game looks, I can only attest to the deluxe version of this game. A bunch of wooden shits, metal coin, and I can really say the game looks amazing. It feels great. It looks great. It looks like a great game. The table presence is pretty nice, considering it's like a card game. And ironically enough, this game being a card game feels as if any other Galen game that calls, like, I think they're considered board games, but it has that kind of weight where it's like, it's a good sprawl. It doesn't seem like it's trying to be a board game. It's definitely all cards, but all these little components that are wooden really do make it high value, makes it look beautiful. And I do think it does a great job with the art, with the assets, with the patterns on it, with the unique backgrounds on all these treasure cards and whatnot, that I think it does a great job, honestly, in terms of look and aesthetics. So 10 out of 10 with the look and aesthetics for this game, to be fully honest. What I like about this game, again, this game is such a great game. It's funny because people say, like, oh, board game reviewers always speak highly of games, no negativity. I speak negatively about a lot of games that deserve it, and I'll say crap where it should be, which is why I have a what I don't like section. But what I like about this really is just the fact that it's a game that's negotiation based, that anyone can play. You don't have to like negotiation to play this game. You don't have to try to trick people into playing the game like, oh, you'll like it, don't worry, just play for the rest of us. It's a game where I can truly say to anyone, give it a chance. It's only an hour, try it out. And every single person in the many, many tables I've gotten this to have had a great time with this game. I truly think that this game is impressive, immersive. The negotiation is not obtuse. It's not like obstructive. It's very conducive, actually, to a entertaining game, in the game night where everyone's engaged in a 6-player game, which is not very easy to do. What I didn't like about this game, now the biggest crap for this game, and I'll say this to the day I die, is that the iconography sucks at times. Not completely, it's specifically with the location. The locations with the exact same symbols can mean completely different things. So for instance, there's an icon where it says boat, arrow, 2 coins. Now that means for every boat at this location, 2 coins get added to the pot, which is pretty cool. It's a great way to get a lot of coins there, especially if you're the only one that goes there, you add 2 coins and you collect it, which is dope. If 4 people go there, 8 coins get added to the pot, and then you negotiate, which is pretty cool. Now there's another card that is curse symbol arrow card, which, using logic with the other context clues, looks like if you spend a curse icon, you get a treasure card. But instead, what it means is if you get a curse icon, you can get a treasure card, which is, not organic. Additionally, there's another one that says arrow blank this, where it is if you spend this, you get this. So they all have the exact same look for completely different meanings, which is very obnoxious because you have to look in the rulebook, which every single one means. Thank God there are like those things in the rulebook that do clarify all these details. But the fact that they didn't do better iconography and they didn't try to like write it in words really is obnoxious. I do appreciate that they didn't use words. But in my head, I prefer words that are clear versus iconography that it completely goes against itself. And that's just my one hang up with this game, to be fully honest. It gets very obnoxious. People get confused, especially if it's their first time and they don't really understand that the exact same symbols mean completely different things. Everyone complains about it. No one likes it. And that's one area they definitely could have done better, which is why this game definitely isn't like a 10 out of 10 in my eyes. That one thing is a huge pullback for people who only play this game once. I'll say that right now. Now, would I replay this game? So many times. This game's great. I love negotiation. I love the Midgard series. Although, again, this game does not, you don't need to know anything about the Midgard series. You don't need to know anything about Viking culture. Honestly, I do think this game would be better, technically, if it was a different theme. But it works. It very much works. It's impressive. And you can taste a lot on it, but the theme is just not in that flavor profile, if you understand what I'm talking about. Now, would I purchase it? This is actually my personal copy of this game. I got this game in a trade. I traded some guy a game that cost like $80, but I couldn't sell it for a bit. Marco Polo 2. Carl is a great guy, and I didn't know this game actually came upgraded with all the metal coins, this and that. This game was very worth the trade, but buying the game at $45, it's pretty steep without all this metal stuff and wooden shits, which I don't believe it comes with. These are deluxe tidbits. This game I would get for $30, but you can buy it online right now, base game, for $22 to $25 on different websites, which equate to like $35 with shipping. I think $35 is a great value for this game. $45 pushes it. I think $40 would be the most I would pay loving this game. And keep in mind that I love this game. I've played this game. The designers are local who can have us sign the game. I still didn't buy it with my own money just because 45 bucks is a bit out of my personal reach, but I'm super financially responsible, and also I have very limited amounts of funds that I use on like everything. So that's just how I live my life. All right, the final section I have for this is my final ranking. If you don't know, every game I review and a lot of games I love, I put onto a list that I have number 1 being the best game I've ever played and the game I want to play the most, the lowest number being the game I want to play the least, that I dislike the most. This game sits at number 34 out of 103, and if you watch my videos, that number sounds familiar. It's because the video I uploaded yesterday, A Place from All My Books, was at 34, but this game actually fits right there and beats it out a little bit. This game is right underneath Compile, which I talk about all the time, and I can't wait to do before we buy a video on them and hopefully work with Tycoon Games now that they own the IP. And it's right above A Place from All My Books. Compile is a lane battler 1v1 game. Just subscribe if you want to hear more about it. And A Place from All My Books is the game I just did a video about yesterday, so go to my channel if you want to hear more about that. But it's a light, set collection, resource management game. This one is a negotiation game, and even though they're both good, Place from All My Books is a little bit too random with like the card abilities, and it's pretty light. This game, even though it is simple, it is not very, it's a 2 out of 10, it's a 2 out of 5 as well in terms of difficulty, but this one is negotiation, so it changes with the variability of the people you play with. I love games that has a completely different vibe of replayability based on who you interact with in the game. And that's a huge perk for me personally. So this game is 34 out of 103. All in all, that's everything for today. Love this game. Can't wait to just keep it around. I wanted to get played more, but it is what it is. Not everyone's willing to take a chance on a negotiation game without someone knowing it already, which is perfectly fine. If you're ever around and want to play this game, let me know. If you're based in Central Florida, feel free to subscribe. Join our online communities, which are Gaming Caravan on Facebook. Even if you're not local, subscribe to see more before you buy videos. Like this video if you enjoyed the video and comment below. That's everything for today. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Have a great day. God bless, and I hope to see you at a table soon.